a victory, 121 to 103. And they beat the Clippers for the third time in 18 days. The Clippers will head to OKC on the 17th and play them on the 18th. And they have some things to continue to figure out. Well, for Carlo Jimenez, our headphoned hero, Big Brother Jake Warner, the most important person up here. Without him, we would not be on air. Eli Kleiman stepping in as our statistician. We'll see Eli for the Laker game on the 20th. Adam Oslin has you the rest of the way. Daniel West, thank you for hanging out with us back in Burbank. And make sure to delete that clip Adam told you to clip. We will send it to the final break and be back for more. Memphis wins 121-103. Clippers fall to 6-20. Your Clippers Audio Network.
Clipper Nation, that was rough. Worst loss of the season. Wow.
Worst home losing streak since 08. 04?
It says 04.
Wow.
Guys, this is the longest home losing streak. 8 straight games they have lost at home in a single season since 2004. The longest is 12 games, 10 of those in LA.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
I mean, we lost 32 games last year.
I got to say, guys, I did not like the effort at times tonight. It looked like they were taking home court for granted. That just being back home will supply the energy. I didn't see the team that I felt like fought and came up short a lot on this road trip. I didn't see that team tonight. So, if you want to criticize and say this team didn't play hard enough, if you think they quit tonight, there were some bad possessions out there. Wow. They've been outscored by 41 points in the 3 combined second halves against Memphis this season. And Memphis just destroyed them. Did they end up taking any more here at the end? Well, what time was this at? Because it was still somewhat consequential when you handed this.
5 minutes.
Guys, Memphis at one point in the second half was 9 of 11 from 3 with about 5 minutes left. They ended up 10 of 15 from 3 in the second half, but when the game still mattered, they were 9 of 11. Just really, really disappointing effort and loss. The Clippers return into a dome, but the losses remain as they fall big to Memphis. They lose to the Grizzlies 121-103 in a basketball game. They were down by as many as 23 in as they got away from the Clippers here in the second half. Welcome into your post-game show. I'm Adam Oslin. Coming up, we'll get to second half highlights, your post-game box score, and more. But first, let's head back over to your radio voice of the Clippers and Carlo Jimenez. You know, Carlo, it's the same thing we've been seeing all season long, but in even more shorter spans where we would say before, okay, they played a good first half, but the second half and, you know, the last 18 minutes, that wasn't Clippers basketball. Well, in this one, felt like they had a good first 6 minutes to start. They got up by 9. Then it was just a 2-point game heading into the second. Memphis went on an extended run, and they started the second half well. And then Memphis once again turned things around in their favor. The Clippers couldn't even put it together for one quarter in this ballgame to me.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. It feels like that's kind of what happened today, Adam. The Clippers could not get a good stretch of basketball that lasted more than 6 minutes at all in this game, and Memphis was able to take advantage. Now, the Grizzlies did shoot incredibly well in the second half. Without garbage time, 9 for 11 from the three-point line. It was really impressive. Really 9 for 10. They missed the first one. Vince Williams Jr., or excuse me, not Vince Williams Jr., KCP missed a 3, and that so it was 9 for 10 the rest of the way. But it just feels like this Clipper team, Adam. They had a couple of days of rest. The vibes were good. They saw no Zach Edey, and they thought, all right, this is our chance. We're going to come in and walk to a win. And it didn't happen at all. And credit Memphis. They got a season high to Jaren Jackson Jr. and a career high to Cam Spencer.
You know, it was interesting, the move that Coach Lou made. We talked about it during the game, and it's really a no-win situation. Do you go big with Brooke Lopez, who lacks foot speed, or do you go smaller with guys who don't have the size to keep up with some of the bigs of Memphis? Really didn't matter what they were going to do, I guess, in this one, because the Clippers defensively, when they needed to be good in the second half, when they needed to step up on that end and get stops, they couldn't.
No, they really couldn't. They couldn't stop Jaren Jackson Jr., and then they couldn't get points on the other side. And Memphis, Adam, scores 30-plus in quarters 2, 3, and 4. And that's just not going to lead to a lot of success. I think what was most surprising was really the Grizzlies. You know, you either go big to slow down the attack in the paint, or you go small to slow down the mobility of the big. Well, they didn't do either. And they went small. They didn't slow down the three-point shooting or the mobility of the bigs. Memphis shot 26 for 39 in the paint. They had 52 points. The Clippers got outscored in the paint by 14. Just not something you thought would happen with no Zach Edey today. And yet that is what happened. And then you look at the schedule and you got OKC, the Lakers, and Houston coming up. It is it feels like, I mean, I don't know. Maybe this is too late in the season to say this, but it's gut check time a little bit. I know OKC is a nearly impossible place to win, but you got to show process like you did the last 4 games, and the Clippers just didn't do that today.
Yeah, I feel like they regressed tonight, back it into a dome. After time off, they lose a ball game 121-103 to the Memphis Grizzlies, who were down a few guys. This Clippers team, they just can't seem to put it together quarter to quarter, half to half, game to game. It has just been a struggle, and that's why they're 6-20 on the season. Clipper Nation, their next ball game, as Carlo mentioned, they're headed into the Lions' den. That game will be in OKC on Wednesday. Clippers taking on the Thunder. Tip-off at 5. We'll have your pregame show starting at 4. Carlo, safe travels. We'll talk to you on Wednesday, my friend.
Adam, it was great to see you. Great to hang with you and Big Bro. At least we got that. I'll talk to you Wednesday. Let's go.
Coming up next, second half highlights, your post-game box score, and more. I'm Adam Moslin. After the Clippers drop one 121-103, back it into a dome to the Memphis Grizzlies right here on the Los Angeles Clippers Audio Network. Ooh, Clipper Nation.
Thanks, Daniel.
Painful.
Dude, that one hurt. It wasn't as bad as Houston, but
I think it was worse, honestly.
yeah.
I like they lost late against a good Houston team.
They fought.
They looked good for 45 minutes.
They did. That's true. I think I just had more time to mourn this one during the game.
Clipper Nation, we've been down on this team right now. It's tough. Broadcasters right now watching this team, and we're hoping for the best here, but this was a tough watch. Difficult loss for the Clippers. I think their worst loss of the season. I got to be honest. You come back home and you play like this, just not good enough. Give the crowd something to cheer about. You know what got the most cheers in this ball game? They had multiple offensive rebounds in the first half, I think in the second quarter. Then Kawhi hit a jumper. That was the loudest I heard it here, honestly. They had 3 offensive rebounds. Kawhi hit a jumper. That was as good as it got. You have to give them something to cheer about. It's just the lack of consistency. Tonight was worse. The worst I'd seen it from a consistency, effort standpoint, execution standpoint. Worst I've seen it. And to do it in front of your fans here, to me, that compounds into being the worst loss of the season. Just inexcusable at times. And like Memphis, in some ways, a bad matchup for the Clippers, but they're still missing a ton of guys. And I thought some of the lineups were curious. Clippers lose 121 to 103. Thought it was going to be no place like home back at Intuit Dome, but it's their 8th straight home loss. Most home losses in a row for the Clippers in a season since 2004. A safe haven it has not been for the Clippers so far this season. Clipper Nation, I commend you. You did your part. I don't think the Clippers gave you enough to cheer about in this one. Clippers ended up shooting 46% from the field. Memphis Grizzlies 52%. Clippers 13 of 36 from the outside. Memphis 16 of 39. And with about 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, Memphis was 9 of 11 from 3 in the second half. Scorching hot. Some of that's on the Clippers. A lot of it is. The Clippers, this is definitely on them. 19 turnovers in this ball game. It only led to 15 points, but you're taking away possessions. You're not getting shots up. You're losing a rhythm. And it felt like that offensively. They couldn't really get into one because of their own self-inflicted wounds out there. Clippers out-rebounded them 39 to 32. Out-rebounded them on the offensive glass 13 to 9. But Memphis with a 52-38 decisive points in the paint advantage in this ball game. And that three-point shooting where Cam Spencer went off to start the fourth quarter. You know, this time it wasn't Cedric Coward who took over in the fourth quarter in Memphis when the Clippers didn't score in about the last 4 minutes a week ago. Tonight, Cam Spencer caught fire. After that, Jaren Jackson Jr. started hitting a couple of threes, and that Triple J explosion to start the second quarter where he had 14 points on 6 of 6 shooting within 4 minutes. First 4 minutes of that second quarter where the Clippers, they were up by 9 in the first. But the last 4 minutes of the first quarter were rough. They went from leading 23 to 14 with 4:40 to go in the first quarter to Memphis then going on a 26 to 9 run in 7 minutes and 26 seconds to take a 40 to 32 lead. They eventually led by as many as 13 in the first half. The Clippers battled back, got it down to 8 heading into the half, and then got up to start the third quarter. And then Memphis hit them with a haymaker, and the Clippers didn't recover. They entered the fourth quarter down their largest deficit, 90 to 76. Cam Spencer starts knocking down threes. You get down 20. Got down by as many as 23. And I didn't like the lack of fight that I saw from this team tonight. Clippers lose 121 to 103. Back it into a dome to the Memphis Grizzlies. Quick timeout. We'll come back. I'm Adam Moslin, and you're listening to the Los Angeles Clippers Audio Network. Daniel, what time are we getting out tonight? We're with you guys for another hour. Hey, Jake.
Clippers basketball. AM 570 KLAC Los Angeles, 98.7 KYSR HD2 Los Angeles, an iHeart radio station.
Clippers fall 121 to 103 here at the Dome. They return after a 5-game road trip and get blown out in the second half by the Memphis Grizzlies, who at one point were up by 23 and were 9 of 11. 9 of 11. Someone call emergency on this Clippers season right now. Like, they were just scorching hot. Memphis from the outside. Nothing the Clippers could do about it. Their defense, not good enough. Their offense really struggled, I felt like, at times. Just zero consistency across the board with this team. And I don't know what's going to happen moving forward now. These are dark days, Clipper Nation. They're 6-20. They got to 20 losses before they got to 10 victories. Their next game is in Oklahoma City on Wednesday. Best team in the league that is probably looking to avenge a loss to the San Antonio Spurs in Vegas. So they'll get their full attention. Tip off at 5. We'll have a pregame show starting at 4. Outside of Los Angeles, we are leaving you until then. In LA, don't go anywhere. We got Clippers Talk next.
Welcome in to Clippers Talk, the official postgame show of the Clippers on the LA Clippers audio network. Load up the phones and make your feelings known. Now your host for Clippers Talk, it's Adam Osley.
The Clippers fall to an undermanned Grizzlies team, 121 to 103, back it into a Dome. And with that, we have reached a new low in this 2025-2026 Clippers season. If you want to get on tonight, 866-987-2570, 866-987-2570 is the phone number. I'm Adam Osland. You can also get to me at Follow Adam A. You can follow along with the show on YouTube as well. Clipper Nation, these are one of my favorite Soundgarden songs. Fell on black days, fell on. R.I.P. Chris Cornell, one of my favorite singers ever. Black days. This was this was a new low. And in a season of them, hard to predict something like this happening after what we had already seen. You know, we were talking about in the pregame show this team not being able to close out games and playing well for 44, 45 minutes and then losing the final 3 minutes. That's what we had seen the last 3 games. Against last time out, it was Mike Noto literally just took some of my notes and threw them over there. First, it was Houston, the most recent game to end up like that. Then it was Minnesota before that. And then it was Memphis. In Memphis, this Clippers team didn't score after being tied up at 98 at 3 minutes and 50 seconds left. That's what we were complaining about coming into this game. Can they just close out games? Can they put it together for 48 minutes? They couldn't put it together for 1 quarter in this game, this Clippers team. Not one. I don't even care if they led by 2 after the first quarter. They were up by 9. They didn't close out the quarter the right way. And the lineup that we saw in this ball game, and I get that Coach Lou wanted to go small with some size out there, but I think it happened right at the end of the first quarter where I brought up this stat earlier about how the Clippers, after being up by 9, really started to give the game away. And it was a lineup that, well, you could have guessed it may have been problematic out there. I understand the logic behind it, but with Kobe Brown, with Kobe Sanders, with James Harden still out there, Jordan Miller, they really couldn't figure out how to score because what Memphis was doing was, even if Zubats was out there, they were just doubling and triple teaming him because they just play off of Kobe Brown. And I'm not trying to put the game on one guy, it's not. But Kobe Brown was 1 of 8 from the outside, and they dared him to shoot on all those attempts. He was a minus 27 in his 25 minutes. Now, you had a decision to make. Do you go with Brook Lopez, a guy who's slow of foot, who's going to have to guard Aldama or Jock Londale or Triple J, a guy who's going to get beat off the dribble but has more size on the interior? Or do you go with a guy who's lacking the size but a little bit more versatility out there in Kobe Brown? Well, it didn't seem to work. And I'm not saying that's why they lost the ball game, but when their offense completely hit the skids tonight, Kobe Brown was out there on the floor. They were doubling and sagging off of him, playing completely off of him, like it was Şengün against Chris Dunn, just welcoming those 3-pointers and doubling Ivica Zubac and crowding the paint. And it just gummed up the gears of the offense. And I think after missing his first 6 attempts from the outside, or 7, he finally hit one. He was 1 of 8. But this is, unfortunately, this is the main reason that Kobe Brown, they didn't pick up his option for next season. The shooting hasn't translated from Mizzou. He shot 46% from 3 his final year of college. That had to translate. That was his swing skill. It's never materialized at this level. He does some of the other stuff decent enough. Being a jack of all trades, master of none, but not being a threat from the outside, that can be a career killer sometimes. And I was surprised he played so much in this ball game because it just made life so much more difficult on everyone else. They could just pack the paint against the Clippers, take away driving lanes, take away Ivica Zubac. And look, I'm frustrated too. Zubac only got up 6 shots, 6 points. Zoo didn't look good in the first half either. His body language was bad. Some of his defensive rotations were bad. I thought he was better to start the second half, but they also had 2 guys on him throughout most of the ball game. it's really frustrating to see this Clippers team continue to struggle on both ends, but you see a stretch of 5 minutes of good basketball, like to start the first quarter, to start the third quarter, and then it just goes away. And this wasn't Houston or Minnesota. The Clippers played better in those games on the road than they did tonight against a Memphis team that is severely undermanned in some ways, including missing Zach Edey. Ja Morant's 4 of 12 in this game. You have every advantage. And to sum it up, it's the worst loss of the season. I didn't like the effort. I didn't like the spirit they played with, if there was any. And when they had the right energy, it quickly left. This Clippers team is reeling. They're 6-20. Carlo brought it up post game, but I guess it was when they were 4-8. I brought up on Clips and Dip. What if they get to 20 losses before 10 wins? What are we talking about then? Are we going to see a shakeup then? When's it going to happen? Is it already too late? Should they just go in a completely different direction? I know Lawrence Frank spoke with some of the season ticket holders earlier. I wasn't there, privy to the conversation, what was said. But this season is getting away from them. Earlier today, reports from Ramona Shelburne that they're not looking to trade James Harden or Kawhi. Maybe that's true. Maybe it's a smokescreen because they're trying to drive up the price. What is the price? How much are you getting back? What's the value of those players right now? James Harden played but was noticeably banged up, dealing with the calf injury. 4 of 10 in 31 minutes. Wasn't at his best. Kawhi looked good at times, but in his 37 minutes, 21 points. He got off to a quick start in the first quarter with 7. And then once again, this team runs out of gas. The age has caught up to them. It's happened quickly. That age curve in sports. And this Clippers team, they're not built for this new NBA. They're not, to be frank. The game looks like it's passed them by. And it's hard to watch. I mean, sure, they can put it together for 5 minutes here and there. And they put together much better performances against Minnesota and Houston, as I mentioned, but they still lost those games in the end because they had nothing left in the tank. And too many of those bad habits rear their ugly heads late in games when everyone's giving maximum effort. It's just really demoralizing to see this team come home, have 3 days off, and put together a performance like this at Intuit Dome and lose 121-103. When you're thinking if there was going to be a moment for them to turn the tide, you got an opportunity tonight against a beat-up Memphis team. You don't take advantage of it. You let Triple J score 14 points in the first 4 minutes of the second quarter. They were in control, and they let go of it. And no, I didn't like the lineup change within the first, I think it was after the first 7 minutes of the first quarter. I didn't like some of the other ones either. I think there's criticism to go around, but I know some of you guys are going to simplify it to it's on Coach Lou. The team isn't good enough, so it's on Lawrence Frank too. The guys aren't playing hard enough, so it's on the players too. It's everything right now. That's how you end up 6-20 to start the season. Let's go to Damari in Victorville. Damari, you're on Clippers Talk with Adam Mausam.
Yo, what's up, Adam? Can you hear me?
I got you, Damari.
I just want to say thank you for everything you do. You know, you're amazing, Adam. It is on everybody collectively. I would say that because, you know, with the right players and stuff, we don't know if we win those ball games, you know, like with everybody in and out of the lineups. But what's the point if Brook Lopez is one of our best three-point shooters playing Kobe Brown, like risking all these clanks, you know, when they're double teaming Zubac the whole second half.
Well,
you know,
I can
like
tell you the point, but it didn't work. Obviously, they're trying to help themselves defensively, but there's a trade-off on the offensive end, and Kobe Brown's got to hit some of those shots. He didn't.
Yeah, which I do get. And like I said, I'm not blaming it on Ty Lue. It's like on everybody, like the players, the coaching. I do think all the moves that Lawrence Frank did make was brilliant moves. They just didn't plan out, which sucks. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like oh, go ahead.
No, DeMar, good on you for admitting that. I think most of us felt like he cooked this summer. Lawrence Frank did a great job. I talked to Clipper Nation throughout it. I was doing all these free agency shows. Everybody felt like they loaded up and they fixed some of the roster holes that we saw last season, and none of it's panned out, unfortunately.
Oh, literally. I was also for John Collins coming to the starting lineup. But it's clear if we did have Bradley Beal at least scoring 15 points and John Collins scored 15 points off the bench as well, especially if we had Brick Lopez spacing out the floor, which I kind of feel like John Collins he's an okay shooter. He's not shooting so good right now, but he also does pick and rolls and he's great in the paint. But he really can't function like that in the paint with Zubac on the floor. It's kind of hard, That's why I think he's better off the bench now.
Yeah, they might try that next because the same thing. We all thought, oh, John Collins got to be in the starting lineup. Well, he's gotten worse. He hasn't been comfortable in the starting lineup. I mean, they have tried so many different combinations and nothing is working, and that also leads to inconsistency. So, just an absolutely crushing and frustrating start to this season, Damari.
Yeah. Once again, sorry not to take up so much time. It is with a lot of injuries, With Derrick Jones Jr. back, he would be coming off the bench again, and then we'll probably see a better jump. But I don't know if I would still try to write it out. I do think OKC is obviously the favorite. They're on a historic run right now. But Kawhi's playing great. James Harden is also playing great. He was banged up today. The only things I would kind of like to see Ty Lue do is probably use Kobe Sanders more. I think he'll be a good backup point guard. If you see he can handle the rock and he could pass pretty good. He hits bogey on some of those open threes and he could move the rock. I like to see that a little bit more.
Kobe Sanders is the lone bright spot in this dark season with them being 6-20 right now. You're not wrong.
If Bogey, I love Bogey. To be honest, I feel like he could have been probably the backup shooting guard or backup point guard. But he does have a pretty good contract that's probably sellable. Him and probably Kobe Brown to probably get I'm not sure about a DeMar DeRozan. He could score a 20, but he does need the ball in his hands. And him and Kawhi do operate in the same range, which is kind of tricky. But if he came for a 6-man wall, and if Kawhi's off the court and he could score probably 15 points around, I'll be down for that. Or a probably Jeremy Grant kind of, he's good at shooting threes a little bit.
I don't think they're taking on that Jeremy Grant contract, but who knows? At this point, the one thing I would emphasize is, and I've been saying this for a while, is you can't sacrifice trying to salvage this season by giving away future cap room that they have set up right now. They have their books clean for 2027. You don't want to bring in bad contracts that could compromise that. I know a lot of people would argue, well, who are the free agents that are coming? No, you don't understand. You could still trade. They already have 2 picks back that they can trade, 2 first-round picks. You could trade to get those guys. So you could have them absorb cap room that way. It doesn't have to be a full-fledged free agent. But, yeah, it's, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Let's see what happens on Wednesday. Damari, I appreciate the phone call. Good phone call, my friend.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you. I'll call in more. Thank you.
Alan, calling from the Swell. Alan, were you at the Lawrence Frank press conference with you guys earlier?
Yes, I was there, Adam, and he made the same point that you made about cap room, allowing trades, and exactly what you just said. It was one thing he said. Another thing was you seem to have this idea that in the playoffs, the game is going to slow down. You know, yes, the modern NBA is much faster, but the lineup, the bench is going to shorten, et cetera. And seem to be saying, if we could just get into the playoffs, and we're not giving up on this season, and maybe this veteran team, can make a run in the playoffs in a different game than what's played in the regular season.
Well,
and I'll just say the other thing that he said. Go ahead.
No. I got to pick your brain a little bit because you got the intel on this because I wasn't in there. I think that's interesting. I also think at this point, they're headed towards the 9th or 10th spot, and that means you're getting at best OKC in the first round, it looks like. That's a problem. If your best opportunity, if your end game of this season is getting OKC in the first round, if you get out of the play-in, that seems problematic to me. But what else, Ellen?
Well, the other thing, and I don't think Chris Paul could play anymore, and I'm not debating whether he should have been, a lot more to this team. But, people kept asking about that. The fans are upset about it. And they said, well, what did he want? And Frank's answer, I thought Lawrence was great. He answered everybody's questions. He was patient. But his answer was really, well, he wanted to stay on the team. He had all these reasons for why, the flight delay and everything. But what he didn't say was, well, what did Chris Paul want? Now, what Lawrence said was, he knew he was going to be the 11th player on the bench. He knew he was not going to, but I don't believe that Chris Paul was trying to argue for more playing time. I think Chris Paul was saying probably something about the lineup. And why don't we just make this, I don't know, whatever he was saying, I would love that answer. I would love to know what's Chris Paul's diagnosis? What was the fight actually about? What did he keep protesting?
Well, my guess on that, Alan, is they wanted to keep it in-house and not throw him under the bus and give everything explicitly on what was happening behind the scenes. Like I've said this since the night it happened. For them to let go of CP3 in this fashion, it must have been pretty bad behind the scenes because they knew the blowback that was coming from Clipper Nation, and they still felt like it was the best thing for the team.
I agree with you, but I just think look, are they better now without him?
But they always said
the same thing. Like, why should Kobe Brown be shooting, 9 shots before he gets taken out? Like, maybe we need to listen to what his diagnosis was as a guy who's been in the NBA this long. I get it. He was a problem. He wouldn't shut up, right? They had to let him go, and they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to embarrass him. They want to retire his number. God bless Chris Paul, and deservedly so. But I would like to hear, what would you do, Chris, with this team?
Well,
I don't know.
We'll see if we get more answers at some point. Alan, was there anything else that was stressed during the conversation from Lawrence Frank? Any interesting questions, dialogue, back and forth?
He kept saying, this is my fault, this is my fault. But, it's one thing to be able to say those words. And it was very impressive that he sat there and took it. But, he also said, if we need to change personnel, nothing's personal. Maybe we can. If we can't do it with these players, maybe we do need to upgrade. But as far as, he also said, look, I don't believe this is a 6-19 team. Of course, they are. But he said, Zoo, Harden, and Kawhi are having good seasons. And he also said, the coach is allowed to make whatever lineups he wants to make, and nobody interferes with him, and he has a great support staff. And there was a lot of, all the things he said about how the coach is staying and nobody's going. He's been there 12 years, and the stability, and Ballmer's behind them, and and he feels our pain, and he's not happy either. In the third quarter, they're working on it, and all of the same points that you make, and he acknowledged that he sees it all, and he knows they need to fix all these things, and he seemed pretty optimistic about tonight, and he was wrong.
Yeah, so was I. I was pretty confident in this one heading into it, but it didn't turn out that way as the Clippers trailed by as many as 23. And maybe this will necessitate a faster change here. Seeing a loss like this after you return to Intuit Dome where it felt like they really took a step back. Even though they had lost the last 2 games, the performance was much better than this. To see this in front of the home crowd, tough to watch. Alan, I appreciate the information and calling in tonight and sticking with this team. And, you know, I'm going to be very interested to see what happens over the next 2 weeks here.
It's a fascinating ride. You know, I appreciate what you do. And, you know, if this is the season, this is the season. And it's entertainment. Even it sucks, it hurts, but it's interesting.
All right, Alan. Appreciate the phone call, my friend.
Okay.
866-987-2570, 866-987-2570. We'll take a quick timeout. We'll come back. Maybe we'll hear from Coach Lou. We'll take more phone calls here. I'm at Mosland after the Clippers lose 121-103 at home to the Memphis Grizzlies, where, let's see, Triple J went for a season-high 31 points. Off the bench, Cam Spencer went for a career-high 27 and just torched the Clippers in that fourth quarter with 3 after long 3 after long 3. Had 12 of his 27 there. And the Clippers had 19 turnovers. I'm at Moslin, and you're listening to Clippers Talk here on AM 570 LA Sports. And the Clippers are now 6-20 on the season. After a game, they were down by as many as 23 in. A game they led by 9 in the first quarter. They were up 23-17 at the 4:30 mark. Harden, John Collins, the Kobe's, and Bogey were out there with Jack Londale and Santi Aldama. Memphis went big. The Clippers went small. Memphis had a quick 7-0 run. Zubas came back in, but the damage was done. The Clippers had 8 turnovers in the first quarter, and after leading by 9, they were only up by 2 heading into the second. They had Kawhi, Zubats, Kobe Brown, Jordan Miller, and Bogey out there. Triple J, 3. Kobe Sanders misses a 3. Triple J over Bogey. Jordan Miller over Aldama. Spencer, Cam Spencer, a sign of things to come, hits a 3-pointer. Clippers are now down by 4. It's a 10-2 Memphis run. Triple J, bucket on Kawhi, gets a layup. Bogey 3, Triple J, offensive rebound. gets his 16th point. Kawhi misses a jumper. Triple J, three-pointer. Chris Dunn comes back in for Kobe Sanders. Kawhi hits a jumper, but the Clippers are down by 6. Triple J gets one over Ivica Zubac, has 14 points in less than 4 minutes. And the Clippers are down 42-34 that quickly. Just unbelievable. I couldn't believe they took Triple J out of the ballgame. Memphis does things differently, Euro style with the rotations. That was fortunate for the Clippers. But they ended up getting down by 13. And then at the half, this Clippers team was trailing 56-48. And they started the third quarter the way you wanted it to be. They cut into that lead so quickly, it fools you into thinking, oh, this Clippers team can still do it. They can put it together. We see it in stretches. In minutes here and there, we see glimpses of it. We had seen it the last 2 games for a good 43, 44 minutes, and they just fell apart at the end of those games in Houston, in Minnesota. But Kawhi gets a jumper over Coward. It's 57-50 early third quarter. Then Zoo gets a hook shot. It's 57-53. Dunn a three-pointer in the far side corner. The Clippers are on a 13-1 run. They're only down by 1. Coward loses the ball out of bounds. Now Dunn hits one on the near side corner, a three-pointer. And the Clippers took their first lead since the 11:45 mark of the second at 59-57. It was a 16-1 run. But they gave it back quickly. Wells started to get it going. And the end of the third quarter, Cam Spencer hits a three-pointer to make it 70-64 Memphis. Wells over Collins. It's 72-64. Now it's a Memphis 9-0 run. It's Bogey, Jordan Miller, Kawhi, James Harden, and Kobe Sanders out there. They're going small. Kobe Sanders did get a turnaround fadeaway out of a timeout, but then a KCP layup. Bogey missed 3. Kawhi comes out of the ball game. Triple J hits his first shot since the 8:20 mark of the second quarter. Hits another one. Now they're down 10. Vince Williams, big three-pointer. 9-2 run. Clippers down 11. It's just, it was a slow bleed at the end of that third quarter after it looked like they turned things around. And there was some poor effort out there at times by the Clippers. They got outscored 27-12. After taking a 64-63 lead, they got outscored 27-12 the final 6 minutes and 40 seconds of that third quarter. They closed the quarter with this lineup: James Harden, Bogdan Bogdanovic, Jordan Miller, Kobe Sanders, and Kobe Brown, and Memphis scored on 8 straight possessions to end the third. And the Clippers are down 14. Memphis has their largest lead heading into the fourth at 90-76. I didn't love the lineup there. Just didn't. If you're going to a youth movement, okay. Jordan Miller, the Kobe's out there. Is that where we're at? Are we still trying to find a way to climb out of this hole the Clippers have made for themselves this season? But once Cam Spencer started to heat up in the fourth quarter, Cam Spencer 3, 95-83. Cam Spencer 3, 98-86. Cam Spencer 3, 103-86. 12 of his career high 27 points in the fourth quarter, and they ended up running away with this one. Mike in LA. Mike, you're on Clippers Talk with Adam Osland after they lose 121-103 at home to Memphis. Mike, what's up?
I think, and I've said this before, but I think it really, a very underrated thing is that the Clippers need to just improve their drafting and scouting. I mean, in this league, especially with the new CBA and all the aprons and this and that.
I don't know. They drafted SGA. Technically, they traded for him, but they.
Yes. No. Well,
they drafted the MVP.
But what I'm saying is, yes, but I'm saying that when I feel like they often rely on the excuse of, well, we were drafting late in the first round, or in the second round, or whatever.
I gotta admit, it's not. They need to be better, Mike. But that's also not an excuse. I think it's a reason statistically, if you look at it.
Okay.
It's both.
Maybe,
they need to draft
reason,
better,
but I think that,
and it also hurts when you're always drafting late. It's both those things.
No, I agree. It's definitely not helpful. But I think that being able to at least find a few, NBA, maybe back of the rotation players there will, help you avoid, just having to fill out the roster with these, really, older, free agents who are towards the end of their career.
Do you like Kobe Sanders? Do you like Cam Christie? Do you like Yannick?
I like Cam Christie. I like Cam Christie. Yannick, the jury's still out on. I think, quite frankly, in the next game against OKC, they should leave a lot of the quote-unquote regular rotation players at home and just run the young guys. Just, help. I mean, you're probably not going to win anyways. Just give it a shot. See what, it's not a home game. See what these guys have.
All right.
Throw them into the fire.
Appreciate the phone call, Mike. We'll bring you this from Joey Lynn. Kawhi Leonard and James Harden left without speaking to reporters after the blowout loss. Did see at the end of the first half, Kawhi didn't look too happy with James Harden dribbling out the clock, then giving a grenade pass to Kobe Brown, who gave it back to him. And I think James Harden put up an airball three-pointer to end the second quarter. Let's see. Jose and Downey. Jose, you're on Clippers Talk with Adam Osman. What's up?
Hey, Adam, how you doing? I was at the game, man. It just keeps getting worse, man. I agree with you. That lineup with the Kobe's and Miller was not well.
But people will say, you always cover for Coach Lou. You never criticize Coach Lou. I just did. Yeah. I don't know what you want from me.
I could live with it in if you do the first quarter and maybe part like that second quarter, because he did run that team, I think, once in each quarter. I mean, if you were having trouble stopping, I'm not saying I'm not exactly sure what could have helped you, but I would have wished you would have staggered Collins. If you already see that lineup is not working, maybe Sanders and Collins, they're both 6'9", or if not, screw it. At this point,
that's exactly what I would have done. That's exactly what I would have done, Jose. I would have played Kobe Sanders more. I'm not worried about Santi Aldama crushing guys in the paint that much. I'm just not.
Right. I would have, and especially like you said, that's a great point about Kobe not being able to hit that. And then if you're going to have a minute with Dunn, and he started struggling as well. I mean, now you got two guys who can't shoot, and so they're going to pack the paint. But at this point, I would have been like, well, let's try Yannick. I'm not saying he would have solved the problem. I'm not saying he would have won the game. I'm saying at this point, if you know you're giving up size and you've been trying a lot of things, why not try the kid? If you already made the decision you're not going to put in Lopez, at this point, you've seen the first quarter, and like you said, I think it was the 7-minute mark when he put in that lineup with James Harden. You saw it didn't work. Change it up already. Try something else. See what can stick. Start throwing a bunch of stuff at the wall. See if something sticks. I think he's done that this year. He's tried a lot of stuff. I was kind of perplexed that he didn't make some adjustments like that. But I mean, if you already made your decision that Lopez is not going to touch that floor, and it's going to be for a lot of teams, because like you said, I think this stage of the NBA teams has already, and the way it's played, has quickly passed up the Clippers. Younger legs, I don't think, are going to hurt. Younger legs on the court are not.
They're not going to hurt. And if Kobe Brown misses his first 4 threes, I'm probably going to even try Lopez at that point. Yes, he's hurting you. He could hurt you defensively. But on the offensive end, I thought it was crippling at times, the way they were letting Memphis play defensively, because they did not respect Kobe Brown at all from 3. I mean, they gave him
and then
it was like the Westbrook treatment on steroids.
Right. And then what that caller said, a couple callers before myself, who was at the meeting with
You were there?
Frank Lawrence. No, I wish, because I am a season ticket holder, and I wish he would have called me because this sucks to say, because I think I told you earlier in the year, this is my first time I ever did it, the season tickets, and I was extremely happy. And I'm almost kind of like, why did I kind of waste my money right now? No, and it's more because of the effort you're talking about, man. The effort, the no effort
there were
that you're
effort
seeing out there.
issues. Tonight there were effort issues, and I appreciate the phone call, Jose. I got to take a time out, though. You're one of my favorites. You're one of the regulars here. We'll get to you on Wednesday. Clippers lose to the Memphis Grizzlies badly. They get blown out in the second half. They lose 121-103 here at Intuit Dome. I'm expecting a move of some kind within the next 2 weeks. I also felt like the last 2 weeks could have been a move. I thought when they had those 4 days off, that could have been a move. But now that it's December 15th and more contracts are available to be moved, I'm expecting something. We shall see. Quick timeout. We'll come back. More of your phone calls. 866-987-2570. I'm Adam Moslem. This is Clippers Talk here on AM 570 LA Sports. Welcome back in. It's Clippers Talk. I'm Adam Osland. As deflating, as disappointing of a loss as we've seen so far this season, and we've seen 20 of them. Clippers really got to 20 losses before 10 wins. Just unfathomable coming into this season that would have happened. I remember seeing the schedule, and we were like, oh, they're going to start 7-3 at worst in the first 10 games, and somehow we ended up here. We have some post-game audio from Coach Lou that I want to play for you guys. Daniel West, fire it up for me, please. Computer on.
Hang on just 1 second.
All right. Maybe instead we'll get to a phone call here.
No, we're good.
All right. We're good now. Coach Lou.
Mentally, you feel like that's an issue right now when things get tough. Guys aren't, really doing what they need to be doing. I remember a few years ago, the most critical I ever heard you of your team was when you called the team soft. Did you feel like similarly with this group right now, with the way they've been unable to kind of, get up when things get tough, like you mentioned?
No, I don't see us being soft. I think most of the time we're trying. I think teams are faster than us. I think teams are bigger than us. And, we got to become even more scrappy, and so just mentally when things go wrong, we got to have the mental stability just to do things tougher, do things harder, not let go of the rope, and so, you could do everything right
10
and still
seconds.
lose, or do everything right and the team still scores, but you got to stay with it and do it harder. And that's the mindset that we have to have.
For the most part, I agree. The guys have been playing hard. They're just not good enough. Tonight, I didn't feel like that at times. I felt like at times there were some real low effort possessions out there. Let's hear from Clipper Edward. Clipper Edward, you're on Clipper Sock. What's up?
Hey, what's up, Adam? Thanks for bringing me up. Another disappointing loss. I don't know how to pick up my head and continue to cheer for this team. Lawrence Frank has got to go. I heard that last caller talking about, what he was saying in the meeting. And, again, it just gives me more proof that I just don't believe in this guy. I think that he's at the point where he doesn't know what he's doing right now.
What did you want him to say?
I want him to be a man and just be like, you know what, I'm in over my head, and I think it's time for me to go.
So he's going to do something completely unprecedented. Like that's you think that's realistic?
I mean, it's not realistic, but I mean, it's something that needs to happen. Other than that, Kawhi Leonard needs to go as well, because this guy is just absolutely horrible. He's, just like Stephen A. Smith said, he is the worst superstar in NBA history. And his bad attitude, I think it rubs off on the other players, man. I don't like the effort that he shows on the court. He's too old. He's too slow. Settles for that 3-pointer when he's, 1 for 5. It's just, and like Zubac, I feel like he needs to.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'd say Kawhi is probably one of the least of their problems, but sure, go ahead.
I would say he's one of the biggest, because he's making $50 million and he's only putting up 21 points, and he's not guarding the other team's best player night in, night out, which really hurts us.
Okay.
And then Zubac, I love Zubac, but I feel like his time is probably coming up to the end here, because he needs to go and play with somebody that's really going to test him, that's really going to get into him and really get the best out of him. And I think right here with the players that we have, this is just not the right fit for him. And with him still being young, I think we still need to get whatever we can for him, and just let it all go, because I'm tired of seeing this, and I'd rather see young guys on the court giving it all instead of old guys, has-beens, just content with what they're making and ready to ride out to the sunset. So,
all right, Clipper Edward.
Thanks for bringing me up, Adam.
Appreciate the phone call. Yeah, look, if you want to look at the guy that makes the most and say you expect more out of him, that's fair. 9 of 18, 21 points. He has had a really efficient season. You look at some of the individual numbers by him, by Zoo, by James Harden. You're scratching your head and wondering how this team is 6-20. But team game, they haven't played like one so far this year. Quickly, let's go to Rick in Malibu. Rick, 30 seconds here on Clippers Talk so I can get everybody in. Rick, what's up?
Pretty tough to do it in 30 seconds. So this was obviously this is disappointing every game. I give away my tickets every game now. But the solution to me seems really simple. This is a business. The business is failing. And what you do when a business is failing is you get rid of management. You don't let management decide the new direction of your team. This management has failed in the direction of the team. Why would you give them the reins to try to decide what the next chapter is? You can't give it to them. You would never do that in any business, anywhere, with the possible exception of pro sports. They failed. I mean, it's not arguable, right? This is a failing organization.
It's a failing. It's a failing season.
Edward's absolutely right.
It's a failing season. Yes.
No, it's a failing organization. Because we had 14 winning seasons. Who cares? Is the goal to have a winning season, or is the goal to win a championship?
Well,
the goal is to win a championship.
You got to have winning seasons.
We sit there.
Get to that
point. But come on, Adam. We barely make it out of the first round. The management has failed. Ballmer needs to look at them and not let this management decide the new direction. You're talking about trades in the next 2 weeks. Why would you let this group of guys make those trades? They failed.
Well,
we got to get a new group out there.
I would say this. I understand where you're coming from, and I think it's a fair. I think it's fair criticism. I also think there's two things going on. They're trying to win now. They're also trying to set things up to clear the books in the future. And one of those has been.
Why let this group do them?
Because one of those has been accomplished. Winning now obviously hasn't. They have not been a competitive enough team this season, even though all of us came into the year and we thought, oh, we love these roster upgrades. It's going to work out. It hasn't. It's unfortunate. I don't think it was ludicrous, any of the moves they made during the offseason. I think a lot just didn't work out. But I appreciate the phone call, Rick. Call back on Wednesday. We'll get more time for you, okay? Quick timeout. We'll come back. We'll close things out. Clippers lose 121-103 to the Memphis Grizzlies here at Intuit Dome. I'm Adam Moslin, and you're listening to Clippers Talk here on AM 570 LA Sports. Welcome back in. I'm Adam Moslin. This is Clippers Talk. The Clippers have not won a game at home in 49 days. It's been since October 31st on Halloween. They've dropped 8 straight here at Intuit Dome. Longest home losing streak since 2004 for the Clippers as they lose badly to Memphis, and they are 6-20 on the season. Quickly, Eli and Whittier, 30 seconds for me. Eli, what's up?
Okay, sorry if I sound a little sick, but first of all, I just wanted to say good on you for pushing back a bit on like that Lawrence Frank comment about 2027, because I feel like my biggest disagreement is the fact that we're going to probably be a mediocre to bad team before that 2027 offseason, considering that this front office wants us to be competitive. And other than that, I just want to ask you if the general vibe in Intuit Dome was excited for the young guys, because I wonder if they pay attention to the fans' excitement for these young guys, it means that maybe they could pivot in a new direction.
I think it's possible, Eli. I do, because the schedule gets much tougher from here. I think changes are coming. I mean, their opponents for the rest of December, the Thunder, the Rockets, the Lakers, the Blazers, the Pistons, the Kings. So it could get worse from here if they don't turn things around quickly, if they don't have some type of shakeup. I'm interested to see what moves they make. If Lawrence Frank is still believing in this squad, thinks they can improve on the margins and start to win some ball games here, because tonight wasn't, oh, hey, the result wasn't there, but the process was decent. The process was bad tonight. They lose 121-103 to the Memphis Grizzlies. Before we get out of here, I do want to thank the Clippers organization, Ralph Lawler, Brian Seaman, Noah Eagle, Carlo Jimenez on the call, Daniel West back in Burbank, Eli, our statistician here, Big Brother Jake Warner, our head engineer. I'm Adam Moslin. We'll talk to you on Wednesday when the Clippers are in OKC.
Clippers Clippers talk is over.
But it's going on your.
All right, take care, Joe.